LNG are the team here with so much to prove. A lot of people, including myself, have got them put into that 16-17 spot when it comes to the LPL. So this is going to be their first real test, and we're seeing comfort across the board. I mean, one of Maple's most played was the Zoe. Shenlong back onto some of his favorites in the Jace. This is where it's LNG finding their picks, and now they've just got to execute on the Rift.
Time to jump into game number 1 here of our second series of the Summer Split. It's LNG against Suning. And we'll see whether Suning are going to be able to improve their performance from last split and whether LNG are going to be able to get back on the horse after their difficult off-season.
This is the time for them to silence all the haters, but we'll have to see if they're going to be able to do so. LNG moving into the jungle now to try and spot out where SOFM will start.
Well, I like this. It's confident, at least. You know, when you've had so many roster changes and shenanigans between the team in the off-season, you wouldn't really expect them to be as confident to just walk in, get some wards, working as a team. I'm liking what I see here, Doctor.
Well, I think when we look at Bin's runes here, we're going to be looking at this Aatrox at least trying to close the gap as often as possible. This is the standard rune choice for an Aatrox when you're in this kind of ranged matchup, because you're not going to be able to trade as effectively, you're not going to be able to stack up that Conqueror as easily. So instead, you're just looking to have that burst damage, and this is really good if we can get SOFM to play towards that top side of the map and set up Bin, because Hwanfeng and Sword Art aren't really going to be able to do too much against Light and Iwandi in the bottom lane, and potentially SOFM, if he is playing towards that top side, can help out Angel in this mid lane as well.
That Jarvan is so potent when it comes to the gank. Syndra, obviously, one of those mid laners that most junglers will do well ganking for, because she can set up so well for a gank. She has so much damage as well in her kit. And Zoe, one of those champions that if you get caught out, you don't have any way to get away from the situation.
And don't forget as well, what we talked about for the Bard pick for Sword Art is the exact same for this set. But
level 2 here in the bottom lane. It's going to be Ignite used onto Iwandi. Jumps forward from Hwanfeng. Nice little block, though, from Light. Denies the Mystic Shot, and Iwandi will survive.
This matchup really sucks as an Nautilus. You just don't have enough in your shield to try and trade effectively against the set. And right now, this is just Hwanfeng and Sword Art starting to bully, getting Hwanfeng into a decent position. But once we start to transition towards the 5-6 minute mark, Sword Art will be able to leave this bottom lane and transition towards the mid. As you said, Maple very vulnerable on this Zoe pick. And if you have this set, you can Hex Flash or even flash over a wall to get onto her. It screams bad news bears for the LNG mid lane.
Certainly would, but Maple, I'd expect, knows that and will be playing safe. Bear in mind, for any of you guys that are new to the LPL that don't know who Maple is, this is a guy with a wealth of international play experience. This guy was on Flash Wolves for years, and I mean, the Flash Wolves trophy cabinet contains many first places, including a flawless split when it came to 2018 summer as well over in the LMS. So this guy is no stranger to the game, and certainly will know how to respect an enemy jungler.
He's also no stranger to Sword Art. Don't forget, these were the guys that came over from the LMS together. Part of that rivalry that we see is Maple had to leave his teammate that he came over with, and I mean, you talk about trophy cases. Sword Art, LMS MVP Summer 2018, LMS MVP, or Playoff MVP Spring and Summer 2017.
Nice little hook here in the bottom lane. Sword Art does get caught, and that's actually a heal used from Hwanfeng. I feel that was a little overzealous on the heal, to be quite honest.
A little bit. I mean, Hwanfeng clearly a little bit spooked down in this bottom lane, especially when you look towards set. He's so much survivability in his kit, not only because of the shield and the true grit, but the healing that you get off of that passive as well. So I don't know what the idea was, especially... I'm
telling you, man.
XX wasn't going to be down that way anytime
soon. It's like Samuel and his hair. As soon as the mullet is gone, that's where
Who's Samuel?
You know the like Greek mythology where Samuel, he has his hair cut, all his strength goes.
I don't.
You don't know that?
No.
Okay. Well, Twitch chat knows what I'm talking about. I'm sure they do.
There's one Greek mythology buff is like right on.
That's not a rare story. Like that is one of the stories that is told to children. Anyway, whatever. XX is coming to the top line. This is the story I'm telling right now. Has been could be in trouble. A good pillar will deny any kind of escape from an Aatrox.
And I like this decision from XX. We said already, look, Shenlong could actually be a really big factor for LNG if the team is willing to play around him, because LNG in Spring just felt like they didn't have a game plan. we call them the opportunistic scavengers, but it was really just us saying these guys don't know what they want to do in the early stages of the game. They're not making set plays. It's not like XX has a lane that he likes to play around and get set up. It just felt like a bunch of solo queue players that are come into a game, and the gank works, or we catch someone down in river. Fantastic. This is going to be a good early game start, and maybe we can snowball off of this. But now LNG at least look like there's calls being made that we want to try and play around this Maple and Chenlun top side of the map.
And I think, honestly, if you're going to play around a player on the side of LNG, Chenlun seems to be the guy, especially when you've drafted around him, right? You've given him this chase, you've given him a lot of power when it comes to that top lane. You might as well try and set him up for success there. You can see him going for the executioners already on his first back so that he can try and punish Bin on this Aatrox.
You say that, but I mean, he's already sitting behind in CS. Given a lot of respect to Bin, we said already, he hasn't been exactly the most potent of top laners for Suning. So I'm curious to see now how the rest of this matchup is going to play out if Chenlun can get himself into a decent spot. You can see as well, SOFM tried to make a play down towards the bottom side, but wasn't able to find much success there. And again, this is more about securing Huanfeng and Sword Art, having this push pressure in towards the bottom tower. So now, off of this back, Sword Art can try and have some pressure towards this mid and get out on the map and make plays happen.
Maple, now that he's hit that level 6 mark, will be able to just clear these minions as Zoe and start to move around the map a little bit himself as well. Try and find some pressure elsewhere. So if moving into the blue side jungle here, and he will find himself a blue buff. In the meantime, XX is like, you can have the blue buff, mate. I'm going to take a dragon.
Honestly, for Suning, I think their game plan is to just hand over these early dragons. Huanfeng is not going to be able to contest as heavily as the likes of this Aphelios in the early stages. Of course, you start to build your tiers and some of the more the items that can't really hit as hard, although has gone for the Sheen, so the possibility to fight was there. But instead, Suning are more interested in trying to set themselves up for when they hit that mid game. And you've got this Ezreal that's gone for the likes of that Iceborne Gauntlet. Even with that new build we've seen come through from Ezreal as well, the Death Stance, where you've got the CDR, much more survivability in your kit as well, thanks to the passive and the resistances.
Well, XX is going to be fine here. I thought Sword Art was going to pull the trigger on a play there. As XX, he wanted to go for the Gromp as well, but realizes the whole of Suning is here to answer if he goes for the Frog. You can have the blue buff, you cannot have the Frog. The Frog is off limits. Bin's in trouble here as Chenlun gets a huge trade. Basically no return damage there from Bin. Had already used the first part of his Q there, so ends up falling behind towards the top side of the map here. Started with Ninja Tabby as well. And that CS gap that we saw before is all but gone.
So there is an opportunity here for Chenlun to push in this wave and see if he can get it back off. I think the next wave is going to be the cannon. So it means that then he'll be back, able to fill up on his mana, get that cheater recall off, and then still be in the top side of the map with TP for this Rift Herald fight if it ever starts to come up. Because LNG are going to be looking to try and exploit this pressure that they've got with Chenlun on the top side. And you can see there now, getting that recall off because he's so low on mana and making sure he's in a good position for this next fight.
Yeah, has the TP as well, so it doesn't even need to cheat a recall necessarily. Just going to commit to the teleport, get back into that top lane, shove the wave in, and force Bin to go for the TP as well here. But I don't know. Bin's actually cancelled his recall, so he's going to be sticking around. XX trying to find a way into this bottom lane. Meantime, Root goes on down, ultimate through. Sword Art is incredibly low, and Huanfeng just doesn't have the damage to trade here. Sword Art flashes. Oh, but he attacks the tower! Light gets his opportunity as a starter on a roster, and he auto-attacks the tower.
Oh, that's gonna hurt as LNG. I don't even think he would have killed Sword Art, to be honest. I mean, a massive health bar there all around. Like, getting a little bit antsy, trying to show, I'm here, I should get this starting place, but...
Yeah, I mean, you can understand, right? That he's in the studio, he's in front of... Well, he's not in front of anyone.
He's not in front of anyone. There's no crowd.
But he's there on this stage.
Look, yeah.
The tensions must be running high for the guy.
Look, I wouldn't understand. You know, I'm just cool, calm, and collected at all points, to be honest. So, I just, you know, I would have just made the perfect play, just as everyone sitting at home on their couch would have as well.
I'm jealous because I suck. So I definitely wouldn't.
I have played solo queue with you. Don't forget. So.
So you know that I know you're lying.
True, actually, yeah.
All right, Maple goes in here. Bubble doesn't quite land on Sword Art though. Herald is up. That's why everyone's starting to group here and look for a fight. It's going to be Angel that has priority in this mid lane, but with LNG moving in, should be able to contest. XX moves forward to try and deny some vision here.
This is where I want to see the poke come through from LNG. Right now, they are a lot stronger, and it's a lot more range on that poke between Maple and from Shenlong. And if they can just force Suning back here, make sure that they're not able to actually get in aggressively, but they should just win out the attrition war and be able to turn towards the Rift Herald themselves.
Well, it doesn't look like either team is comfortable just starting the Herald off right now. Suning the ones that are trying to step forward more aggressively and get vision, but ultimately, Huanfeng and Sword Art are moving down towards the bottom side of the map. They want to go and clear the wave, so I think both teams basically deciding, you know what, not worth it right now.
And I'd rather see Suning go for this play where they move Huanfeng at least down towards the bottom lane, because we already talked about, hey look, Ezreal's super hard to try and lock down here. He's going to be able to arcane shift back, and you want to try and just move Sword Art up to that play, so even if you end up losing the Rift Herald, we see what happened in the last series where you're getting turret plates as part of the trade, and it's all going onto your AD carry, which is far more valuable than 3 plates being shared between maybe 2 to 3 members of LNG, and they're not really going to be able to make as much use of that gold.
Oh, depth charge onto Huanfeng. He has to use the arcane shift, but he knows he's going down here. It's all over for Huanfeng, and that is going to be first blood now for Light.
I'm surprised that no wards were down for Suning on that bottom side, especially after Sword Art had decided to back. It does mean now you've got Huanfeng dead, Dragon is about to spawn, and although Rift Herald hasn't gone the way of LNG, this Dragon should.
Certainly should. It will be spotted out though, at least the Scuttle Crab went the way of Suning here, but LNG realistically should be able to just grab this one for themselves. Jungle is at the same level, so there's no realistic reason why SOFM should be able to walk in and contest, but there is no Dragon play here. They're not going to go for this one, not going to force the issue.
I'm really surprised. I thought that they would have just gone for the play. It's not like you've the teleport on Suning's side for the top lane to try and even out this play, but it's Suning now who are starting up. I think LNG should have been the ones who got this Dragon. You just killed one.
They had the mana advantage. They had everything in their favor, deciding against it in the end here. And kind of an interesting one. When you consider that, you know, in spring we were calling LNG, this was the team of scavengers, right? These were the guys that weren't necessarily going to be the most proactive, but were going to take it when someone else made a mistake. Suning made a mistake. They didn't accept the reward.
It's the big brain play. I'm going to hold on to it, actually. Hang on. Is Iwandi against Sword Art?
Supportal combat. He's going to bring Iwandi into the play a little bit further. Huanfeng doesn't have a whole bunch of damage just yet, though. So, realistically, can't turn that into much.
So back to our Dragons. What LNG figured out was that they're going to roll the 50-50 roulette to get the Infernal Drake. And by giving over the Cloud, they now have more spots for Infernal Dragons. And that's how they're going to end up winning.
So it was actually just insane 5-head play.
Yeah. They read the future. They saw what was going to happen.
When you think about XX, you think about Maple. These guys are your veterans, your older players that have been around a long time. But Shenlong and Iwandi, they're the new guys coming on in. This is the new kinds of Dragons, and it's a different mentality. They've got it on lock, Dagda. I'm with you.
I just wish I could be that smart. But either way, Dragon has gone over towards Suning. They're going to be pretty happy to pick up at least one Dragon for themselves and fend off when they really have to start worrying about some of these soul points coming through. The problem right now, though, is Sword Art's been backing at these odd timings, which has given LNG the opportunity to continue pushing on this bottom side. There's 2 more plates. Not quite, actually, the second one going over, as SOFM shows his face in River and LNG run.
Yeah, they're out of there. And this is a nervous game from both sides of the board, I think, is the best way to describe how these teams are playing, because it doesn't feel like anyone really wants to do all too much.
Especially when you get to 14 minutes and we haven't seen a Rift Herald go down.
Why are the 2 control wards in the Tribrush?
Don't ask. You'll be better if you don't ask.
But it's like it'll take them longer to clear our bot side Tribrush. Great. Well, no tower plates for Suning whatsoever, which explains that exact 600 gold lead that LNG have on the scoreboard. It's entirely turret plates. There you go.
You have done the math. You've broken the code. But this is the thing. It's been a super slow game on both sides. I was expecting, as you said, LNG to try and ramp up the pace a little bit. You've got this... Your range on LNG when it comes to poking is so much so much further than Suning. So I think if you try to approach these fights where you can start to poke them and whittle them down, well, then you can just turn towards the objectives once you get someone low enough, or just look for the engage overall. Well, it hasn't been that way for LNG though, and when you're playing a composition that, yeah, can struggle a little bit with engages because you're relying on Trundle Pillars and Nautilus hooks, well, you've got to try and at least set up for these objectives early, and that's kind of what LNG have been lacking so far.
Yeah, Suning on the other side of the board, you know, they're quite happy to go long in this game. They've got the Ezreal, they've got the Syndra in the mid lane as well, but most importantly, not just go late. Once you get to a couple of items, I mean, Ezreal especially, we all know once he stacks that Mana Moon and gets either a Triforce or that Frozen Fist, he's going to get real strong real quick.
And don't forget with this new death stance as well, he's just an absolute menace. It means he's really hard to take down. He gets that 10% CDR, which means he's firing so many more of those Mystic shots. He's got arcane shifts to keep himself safe that it becomes really difficult to lock him down. And Huanfeng should be able to really get to grips with trying to maneuver around these pillars, around the hooks like we just saw from Iwandi. So I'm curious to see now how Suning will be able to work once we get to that 3-item point, because it feels like if LNG are able to keep their distance, they can win out just in the poke war. But if you've got SOFM and Sword Art who can find these sneaky routes to close the gap, then Suning can finish off the squishier members of LNG.
Well, LNG are going to trade the bot lane tower for a Rift Herald up towards the top side of the map. But ultimately, what does the Rift Herald get you? A tower. So you kind of now have to convert this Herald into a tower somewhere for this trade to be worth it at all.
And look at the vision control that's there for Suning on the bottom side as well. It means that now you've got this almost direct route that SOFM is pretty much showing us right now to try and make a play towards mid, which is why Maple is hovering so far up in the river. He's scared all of the likes of Sword Art and SOFM suddenly make an appearance out of the bottom side jump.
So I did speak too soon because Chenlong was able to trade towers. So now the Rift Herald is a positive trade because they could potentially get more towers. So once again, LNG with the 5-head plays, 300 IQ map plays all around.
Well, the big thing here is by keeping the Rift Herald, they can toss it down in mid as this dragon spawns. You create this artificial pressure, and then you need Suning to deal with this while you go and just steal away that dragon.
Well, they're going to be doing exactly that, Dagda. With the Herald dropping in the mid lane, that's going to get a charge down. It won't quite finish this tower, I don't think. But with Maple and Chenlong there, they should be able to drop that one themselves anyway. And Infernal Drake has now spawned onto the map. They're going to start to move over Sleepy Trouble Bubble. Flag and Drag from SOFM keeps him safe, though. And with SOFM up, Smite available, it becomes a little dicey on whether LNG can just start this one up straight away.
They don't want to. This is the poke we were talking about. They just want to try and pick off different members as they move in here. They got some decent vision control, but I want you a bit late on the hook, not able to catch SOFM there.
And that might just be a little bit of nerves on the stage, you know, because I wonder if he goes... I mean, ultimately, you're Nautilus, right? You miss that hook and hit a wall, or you hook at the wrong time, you're gonna die. Nautilus is not that tanky.
So this is brave from Suning, because, as we said, a lot of poke on both these squads. Whoever goes into the Dragon Pit first is probably going to be the ones that takes the worst of it, as you can see, because you're all grouped up in a very small area.
I mean, look at the damage that are already taken. XX moves in, SOFM a level ahead, and he gets the smite for himself. Into the backline, though. Here comes Sword Art, manages to get Haymaker and walks away with his life as well. Depth charge onto Angel, but there's no follow-up. And Suning are happy with that, because they get a dragon, and they get out of there.
They managed to pick up their second dragon, and LNG not even able to push in towards mid lane.
Look at the summoner spells. There was 4 summoners used from LNG there for the heal of Huanfeng. And maybe the flash of Sword Art. I'm not
it was a flash of Sword Art as well, but look, as a set, it doesn't matter a huge amount. You still got that Hex Flash that you can use super effectively. And once you go in, you're kind of in as Sword Art at this stage. But the point here is more about how Suning again are trying to close the gap onto LNG, trying to make up for that range discrepancy. And Sword Art did a great job here of sneaking around the back of the pit and did even have control of the vision. LNG knew that Sword Art was going to be coming in. They just never reacted to it.
Well, it's been an exciting game, Dagda, after how fast-paced our first series was. We're at almost 2 kills per 20 minutes. Well, we're about halfway there. LNG did get 1 pick onto Huanfeng, when he stayed just a tiny bit too long for that caster minion. Wasn't worth it, Huanfeng. It wasn't worth it.
The beauty is, we've stayed nearly exactly 600 gold difference between these two teams. That is exciting, exciting stuff for the LPL.
Very exciting. But across the board, we are going to see some farming happening. I think it's fair to say.
I think it's called, yeah, I think it's ping pong is the term that LS likes to use, just popping the waves back and forth.
Ah, we're in a lull state.
We're in a lull state. That's the one. That's the one.
I think
what happened? LCK broke us.
Yeah, I guess. I think in the LPL they call it an omega lull state.
You might be onto something there. But here, look. Right now, it makes sense if you're on Sunin's side. We talked about them wanting to get to kind of those 3 items, more so to get the beefy tanky stats onto the likes of SOFM. So when he goes for that engage, he's just not getting blown up instantly. He's working up, as you can see at the moment, towards that Gargoyle Stone Plate, I'd imagine. And I think that this is where they'll start to come online a little bit more. For LNG, though, with this lethality build that you're seeing from the Jace, with the poke that'll come in from Zoe, 2 items is where they'll really start to ramp up, and trying to use that pressure at this next dragon fight is realistically what we're going to be looking for. So sorry for everyone at home, we're going to talk nonsense for about 2 minutes.
Well, I'm just impressed that when you look at the scoreboard, there are 2 bounties right now for both Angel and Bin, while they are 0-0 and 0 and have like, what, 10, 15 CS leads? There is
Suning didn't get any
There is a 6 CS lead for Bin, and he had a bounty somehow. The bounty has actually vanished now.
Oh, okay.
So
clearly the algorithm went, hang on a second, this is wrong. He's just called us out.
Nothing
Get rid of it. Oh, I know, it's back.
There
Bin
it is.
has it again.
200 gold bounty for 3 CS. I don't know if that's reasonable.
This guy is a menace on the Rift. No
Shut
CS
him down.
is safe.
Shut him down. Oh dear. Well, I mean, Bin having a great performance here. Bounty worthy, I would say. After us criticizing him at the start of the show as well. How could we? So how was your morning, Dagda?
It's fine. I mean, we live together. You saw it in action.
Well, we didn't get food.
Yeah, that was actually a bit of an issue. That annoyed me. I was like, so we tried to order food, and then it's raining here in Shanghai today. So basically all the delivery drivers were like, it's wet. We don't want to deliver.
I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I won't eat then. Fine. Cook for myself? I don't think so. I'm a millennial.
It's very accurate for me. I haven't learned how to cook yet. So if anyone has some nice, easy to go with recipes, I'd appreciate it. But
yeah, teach us Twitch chat. I'm not sure this is the place we want to look. Anyway, let's talk about League of Legends, as we're slowly but surely losing our minds here, because this is not very LPL. 1 kill as we head towards the 23-minute mark here. The gold lead slowly but surely increasing, though. It's up to almost 800 gold now.
do you remember how
Favorite
excited we were
LNG.
coming here today?
It's gone back down to 600. So.
We were so excited. Younger us over
Hey,
here
look,
today.
look.
So
EDG
naive.
versus WE, fantastic
Yeah, true.
series. This eventually is just going to pop off and have insane 5v5 fights.
I don't know how I keep getting these games, though. Like, I got that JDG series as well. That was the 32-minute First Blood. The longest one in the history of League of Legends. But look, we're saved. Our 2 minutes are up. Dragon is about to spawn. We could see some action.
Wake up, Twitch chat. No more resident sleepers. This is... it's the POG state. That's what they call it. We're going full LCK on this one. But Dragon is on the map. And as you rightly said, LNG, they left themselves 3 slots for Infernals. That is a big old shock blast to hit the back line right there. Bin and SOFM stepping on forwards, trying to muscle their way into the fight. And I want it taking a huge amount of damage. Cataclysm from SOFM. And I told you it was all going to pop off. In goes Sword Art, Haymaker, and it's a double for Huanfeng. Like, desperately trying to get onto everybody, but SOFM survives. And that is going to be a 1 fight and a Drake for Suning.
Finally, we get some action, and Suning will come out with their 3rd Drake as a result. We talked about LNG wanting to step back, get the poke, make sure that they're the ones that are avoiding being aggressed on, but that's not the case. Chenlun tries to get the damage down. It looks really good, but Iwandi getting caught out on the Nautilus and ends up giving the engage to Suning.
The bounties are finally justified and they're back in force. Huanfeng gets one as well. There we go. The game is finally appeased. But fantastic. We get to see a fight, but also Suning looking great in the fight as well. Huanfeng in the perfect position. Great setup from Sword Art and from SOFM.
Yeah, and I think, again, this is as we said, Iwandi going a little bit too aggressive. The whole idea here is to put vision down and then just poke as you come in. But Iwandi, there's no reason for you to clear this ward. Like, what's that going to achieve here? You already know where everyone is, thanks to that ward at the back of the pit. And as long as you get the poke down, it's going to do so much more work. But Suning, off of Iwandi's mistakes, are able to jump onto LNG as they go to support the support. And now Suning find themselves with an ever so minuscule gold lead. It's actually lessened. How is that a thing?
Well, no, but it's on the other side this time.
Oh,
it was
sure,
LNG that were ahead before, so that does actually make sense. That when they win the fight, they get some gold.
Look, I'm not entirely invested in this game.
In a serious point, though, what is the blue buff doing? What? Maple's blue buff has detached itself. It doesn't want to be a part of this game anymore. It's trying to escape. I don't know what's happening anymore, Dagda. Okay, well, we've got another fight on our hands, and this time SOFM's been caught out, and with a Baron available and with Chakrams for light, LNG are quite happy to just start this one off. Trundle going to be more than happy to tank this one as well. SOFM died, so there's no smite for the side of Suning. They've just got to go for a 4v5 here. Hwanfeng all across the team. Iwandi goes down. Lights in trouble as Bin brings down his sword. And this is all about Suning. 4v5 and a Baron to boot.
Again, LNG opt to go for this play, but the engage from Suning is able to just turn it around. Hwanfeng hitting so many people with that true shot barrage. Suning wipe the floor with LNG. They pick up the Baron jungleless, and it's just all gone wrong for LNG.
Oh well, what a way to speed this game up. Now with a Baron buff, and as you rightly say, a good amount of poke coming out from this Ezreal, they can siege all day long.
And this is where we talked about Suning really coming online. When you're just about to finish the death stance for Hwanfeng, Angel has now got the Spellbinder completed as well. So it becomes a lot more easy when these engages are coming through to just keep the ball rolling, jumping on, killing people so quickly. And we get to see it in this fight here. Iwandi does manage to pop the Gargoyle Stone Plate, but even then, huge amount of damage coming through from Hwanfeng. Sword Art is doing work in these fights as well and locking down multiple members. And once you're in the pit, it's so much easier for this damage to hit onto multiple members. And apart from XX, you don't have anyone who's tanky enough to try and just tank up that DPS.
Fantastic stuff from the side of Suning here, and a lot of LNG stayed on the Baron for a good portion of that fight, and it meant that obviously they're not able to win at that stage. Maple on this Zoe really struggling to have an impact on the game so far. 0, 2, and 1. The same can be said for XX. And here's the thing. Those were the two players I was saying need to be kind of the pillars of this team. They're the veterans. They're the ones that have been around here. Now we're going to see yet another fight. The Baron, they don't want to siege. They just want to play right now. Suning get another tower, another kill, and now on towards an inhibitor.
And it looks like they'll be able to continue pushing forward here. Bin moving down towards the bottom side to spread out all that Baron buff.
And important to mention as well, 40 seconds until that Infernal Drake spawns. Suning already on Soul Point. If they can get an Infernal Soul for themselves, that'll just about put the final nail in the coffin here for the side of LNG. And they're going to continue this siege. They're going to look towards this mid lane inhibitor. XX not up for another 10 seconds. And with 3 Baroned up cannons on the go, as well as Hwanfeng, you'd expect this inhibitor to fall any second now. So fantastic little siege here coming out from Suning. And honestly, I'm just impressed at the speed at which they've converted this game from absolutely nothing at 20 minutes to almost a 10,000 gold lead at 30.
The only issue here, though, is that Suning haven't backed in quite a while, so they do need to be careful if they're taking the fight, but
I don't think they mind. I think they're all right. SOFM going to block the paddle star here. Iwandi's gone too deep again. Flashes away, and there's a Cataclysm to block everyone in. Iwandi holding them at bay. But SOFM is pretty tanky. Trades 1 for 1 now as Bin goes in onto Light. Won't be able to finish off the third Q. Flash away from Light, but I don't think he was actually in danger there. 1 for 1. As you rightly say, Suning hadn't backed, so they're happy to take that trade, as well as a tower. Now more fighting as Sword Art goes in, stun onto 2 of them. He goes down for his efforts, though. But it will surely mean that this inhibitor falls. Huanfeng should be able to finish this one along with Bin and Angel. And you know what? Even if LNG get a couple of fights, get a couple of kills in the fight, if I can get my words out, soon and get another inhib.
2 inhibs down, and now suddenly that gold lead we were saying was a pesky 600 to 200 gold has skyrocketed. With SOFM now back on the map as well, they can turn towards this Infernal Drake, but there is a lot of gold being sat on by Suning right now, and look, I don't think they really care the difference in levels. All this is really starting to add up on Suning's side, but the poke from LNG here could do a lot of work.
Not the greatest ult I've ever seen from Huanfeng there. Just misses everybody. That will be the Infernal Drake. So now, Suning, since there is no objective, this is your opportunity to back. Please don't force the fight here. Maple blast guns away. I think they would, although maybe they could have just delayed the recalls as supers would start to work away on the base, but ultimately, get back, spend some of that gold.
And now they're going to be in such a good spot. Baron is the real objective that Suning are looking for. Look, of course, Infernal Soul is always going to be nice. Sorry, but if they can get this Baron, you've got double sieges on the bottom side where you can just, or sorry, double siege minions on the bottom side where you can just have Bin sit between the 2 waves and Baron up both of them while the rest of the team is sieging on this top side.
That was a 5,000 gold power play right there for the side of Suning. Which is not too bad.
Huanfeng went straight from a Vamp Scepter into a Blade of the Rune King.
Yeah.
That's how much gold he was
Well,
sitting.
he was recalling, and then he was like, wait a second, guys. I just got to do the chickens real quick, and then I'm going to recall. So I figured he was on the cusp of something. I just wasn't sure what.
Greatness. He was on the cusp of
Yeah,
great.
something like that. Well, he's got a 700 gold bounty. Now I feel like the bounties are pretty justified. Also on the other side, hey, let's just take a moment here. Even though LNG are losing, Chenlun looks great. 4-0-0. He's got 300 CS at 30 minutes as well. For a rookie that's coming on in with just a tiny bit of experience prior to this series in the LPL, like, he's looking fantastic on the
We're
base.
still seeing a lot of the problems with LNG though, which is just not really doing very much in the early game. This was a very slow-paced game, which Suning were happy to take, as we said already. So LNG, yes, you've got this player in the top side coming up from the LDL in spring, but you've really got to give resources to him so that then you actually have a lane you can play around.
Well, they don't really have a lane to play around at this point because we're past the laning phase. And, well, I think it's already done and dusted when it comes to that respect. 7,000 gold lead, or just about 8. And, well, I mean, you can see it in the AD carries right there with the Blade of the Rune King as well. He's 2 items up on light. Huanfeng is having the time of his life. We talked about his Ezreal right at the very start of the day. And he's looking fantastic on it here with that Death Dance, with the Blade of the Rune King as well. Baron incredibly low. They are going to burn that one down. Iwandi's gone in, but he might regret that decision now. XX trying to get onto the backline as well. But the support falls, and nobody from LNG pulls the trigger to go in with him. Sleepy Trouble Bubble onto Huanfeng, but realistically, there's just no follow-up here. Good Shock Blast from Chenlun, but they just can't finish a kill.
And this is the thing, LNG have fallen too far behind at this stage. Chenlun is really the only one that's hurting at this stage, but Swordart, positioned off to the left-hand side of that fight, was doing a good job of making sure this Jace was being forced back, not able to get in and take a few pop shots. And LNG forced to back away as the Baron goes over to Suning.
And I'm hoping that we do see a player of the game here for Huanfeng. He's the one that's been most impressive to me so far this game, in terms of Suning at least. SOFM might be in trouble here. Goes for a Cataclysm onto Chenlun. Swordart is here, but Swordart doesn't have much damage. But it doesn't matter, because SOFM's real tanky.
He's got that Warmogs as well, so he's just going to be gaining all that health back
Oh,
now.
no.
You got to hang on, Swordart.
Uh-oh, Chenlun just bashes him away with a hammer. No worries, he's fine.
And what I didn't expect us to get to is the stage where we're going to have another dragon spawning. This Baron buff has been ticking away for a while now, and Suning haven't really been able to do very much with it. So all this kind of messing about that we've seen from Suning in the jungle has just allotted more time for this Baron buff to be wasted.
And ultimately, when you look at the compositions, Jace is going to do real well if we go super late game. So is Aphelios, and we've got some damage going down onto SOFM, who is in a permanent state of caught out. But the siege continues in the top lane, and Bin just going to barrel these minions into the mid lane. Pressure in every lane with this Baron buff. This might just be 2 inhibitors dropping LNG. They've got to make a play somewhere. Huanfeng's the target. Maple barely surviving here. Iwandi desperate to get in. Look at the healing on Huanfeng, though. With double lifesteal items, he's just about invincible. Sword Art goes in. Iwandi goes down. Now in comes Bin as well, as they finish off this second inhibitor. The bot lane inhibitor has respawned, but I think Suning maybe have their eyes on the Nexus. No, they want to do things by the book.
Well, you need to get the minions here first. Might as well get them in all 3 lanes. And Suning should just be able to push in here, especially when you've got Iwandi down. It's a 4 versus 5.
It certainly is. And, well, with a Baron buff, with supers, and with Bin charging forwards, Maple's in trouble and flashes onto the Nexus. As the turrets will fall on down, this is going to be the end of the game. Light gets deleted. So does Maple. You got to come back from that one, my friend. And Sword Art just chases everybody else away. There goes the Nexus, and there goes game 1 in favor of Suning.
LNG really just felt like they didn't know how to operate on that team composition. The issue that